they've been getting their donations for code building. That's what she had mentioned.
Because under the changes to the agenda, he's going to provide clarification on the one with the
So what happened?
so
We're waiting for Brock.
so we need to wait.
Yeah, we're waiting. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely, definitely.
Have they been donating to the city?
I don't know their details, just that she had mentioned that those were what she had received. So I'm not sure the source of them.
wait for Brock.
She just mentioned that she wanted to leave a couple of pairs for the commission to see. She's
Thanks.
sure.
What presentation do we have?
If this is just for commissioners, I'll have this section of their reports. Because we don't have any presentations now. What are you talking about? This is right, Brian Meehan.
It's just within the report, but it's displayed here so that
Okay.
people can see.
Nice job.
Because I got here.
Just read it. You don't have to enter it.
Yeah, I have to read it.
I'm gonna read it, okay.
No, it's just during the commissioner's report is fine.
In case you're,
Thank you.
in case they should brought up.
Oh, good.
Welcome, everyone, to the City of Millville Commission meeting for September 17th, 2019, at approximately 7:09 p.m. I call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Santiago.
Here.
Commissioner Pepitone.
Yes,
Vice
I'm
Mayor
here.
Parent.
Here.
Commissioner Udalvis. Here. Commissioner Cooper.
Here.
Can we all stand and have the invocation salute to the flag? We're going to have Brian Wheaton, who's going to be doing the invocation.
The Lord tells us in 1 Thessalonians, he says, to be joyful always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. Now, I'm sure you're all joyful tonight, right? So let's pray and give thanks. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come together. We thank you for this great city and all the blessings that it is to each one of us. As I took my trash cans in today, I just gave you thanks that somebody came and took my trash away. That was a great blessing. I thank you for all the great servants, the police, the firemen, the municipal workers, and all those in the offices, Lord. Just bless them, continue to give them knowledge and wisdom, and be in the midst of this meeting tonight, that you would be glorified through this great city. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Wheaton. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any review changes to the agenda?
We had a couple, Mayor. Additions under ordinances on first reading. Item 2, an ordinance amending the City of Millville Municipal Code, Chapter 61, Article 4, collection and disposal of solid waste, and Article 5, source separation of recyclable materials. Changes under resolution item 3 is a resolution declaring an MOU with DeSantis null and void. The certification of funds has been removed from the agenda. City Solicitor Mr. Russell will provide clarification on this. Mr.
Yes,
Russell?
this resolution, if it's adopted, would not authorize the expenditure of any funds. If it's adopted, it would constitute a legal notice.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Solicitor.
we also have the additions under resolutions. Item 8, resolution amending resolution number 243-2019, adopted on September 3rd, 2019, approving a lease agreement between the City of Millville and Millville Development Corporation for the purpose of amending the lease term, insurance requirement, amount, and language under performance and maintenance bonds. And item 9, resolution authorizing release and indemnification agreement between the City of Millville and Sean Scott, police officer, for the purpose of transferring ownership of Police K-9 Neron to Officer Scott. That's all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can we have bills, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move the bills be paid if properly certified.
Second the motion?
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Also, Mayor, a motion to approve and dispense with the reading of the following minutes and to proceed with the regular order of business. August 20th, 2019, closed session. September 3rd, 2019, work session, closed session, regular session. Move it be received and filed.
Second the motion?
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We've now reached the public comment on agenda items only. Anyone that has a comment on agenda item, please step up to the mic. State your concerns and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Good evening. Kirk Hewitt, Millville. Just a few questions. The first reading on the ordinance for purchasing the old bank back. We sold this in 1999 for $200,000. The city did. We're looking at buying it back for $1 million plus. Just a question, maybe the city attorney would have to answer. I don't know. Maybe somebody up there does know. I know there doesn't have to be an appraisal because there's no mortgage company or anything involved. But has any of you really sat down and looked at the money you're going to spend for, I guess, just the downstairs? Because I'm pretty sure that Doug Long has the upstairs already leased, and that'll probably have to remain that way when you buy the building. That's just my thoughts, but there's a lot of large buildings in town that might be suitable for this at maybe a lot less dollar figure. I realize they're going to say here we're bonding it, but bonding it is just putting it off to the future. It's still tax addition to everybody. Just a shame. That's $400,000 profit price increase on that building. I can't see that there. I know there's been renovations made there, but that much. I mean, really, we got some pretty big buildings in town that maybe in discussion you can think about maybe tabling this for a little bit. I realize it's a CCIA, but so that you can look around, see what else might be possible, see what else might have parking. There's no parking for there. You got the new clinic coming down on the 500 block of High Street. You're going to kill both ends of High Street with a court and a clinic. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hewitt.
Betty Montleone, Millville. I'm going to put a different little twist on this ordinance on first reading about the purchase of the building. You could buy that whole side of High Street for $1 million. I would like to know what is going on in each of your minds that you could even consider this. It makes no logic sense whatsoever. And if you put the court in there, you know what happens outside of a courthouse. You get all the people hanging out on the street, waiting to go in for their trials and so on and so forth, smoking cigarettes. You're so gung-ho on building up High Street. How's that going to build it up? You're bringing the worst of the worst right in the middle of your town. Am I missing something here? Is there some gold bars in that safe that's never been taken out that we don't know about? I just wish that you could give me one good reason to convince me that that building is worth $1 million. Do you think any one of you could do that?
Betty, we'll answer at the end.
I hear that every time. And we
Well,
never,
that's how it is, Betty.
I
I'm
know.
sorry.
And then you never get answers. So if you did answer us at the end, we wouldn't keep standing here and asking questions over and over. You know, we never had another commissioner that sat in those seats and refused to answer us. Even Parent himself in the past. They had the respect for the citizens of Millville to answer their questions. Even though we didn't always agree, they answered us. They were not dictators. They were not control freaks. They were very open. And that's what you guys promised everybody, that you were going to be open to the public. Well, I have not seen any opening, period, come from anybody. So after this meeting, if you don't answer me, I'm going to stand up and ask again for an answer.
Thank you, Betty.
Good evening, Angeline Broomhall, Millville. I have a few things, but I'll first touch on the purchase of the CCIA building. I'm not necessarily understanding the rush. I understand the police are kind of crammed in there, but $1 million is my grandchildren's money, and my daughter's only 16. I don't have grandkids yet, right? So we're spending somebody else's money, and we're rushing to do it. $1 million. The Wheaton Mansion's only selling for $150,000. There's empty lots for like $20,000, double lots on High Street, if that's where you want it. The school, right? We have, we're using it now, but it doesn't have to be permanent. Wood School, or pretty soon Memorial, will likely be closed. If we, just like at home, if there's something big that I need to purchase, if I need a new car, I don't just wake up in the morning and say I need a new car. It's something that I plan and I budget for. And I think about what's practical. Can you imagine, like, just say, I have no idea, but just say we could get Memorial, right? Can you imagine what that would help that whole Center City area? You know, you'd have to have the police there to do their testifying. You would have, you know, a lot more official traffic in that area, which would reduce a lot of that crime in that area. And the building's going to become available more than likely, I don't know, but I would assume, right, when the high school's finished, in a very short amount of time. I mean, it may not be next month like you want, but in a very short amount of time, in the grand scheme of things, before my grandchildren are born, that building will be available. So before anybody has to actually pay for this, there's going to be this big empty building in the middle of Center City that would be beyond perfect for these needs. The whole police station can go over there, right in the middle of the most needed part of town. Something to consider. There are other options. There's probably 100 more than that. I'm just throwing one out there and seeing if it'll stick. The other question I have, there was a whole lot of changes to the agenda. I didn't quite hear, and I'm not, I don't know what they are. So if you would, please explain what they are, like especially the solid waste one, but whatever they are.
I can explain that. It was actually the first one that got attached was on yard waste, and it should have been the solid waste. So that was actually a discrepancy from my office.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So that's all. Just if we could just slow down a little bit when we're talking about spending huge amounts of money that could be spent in a very more productive way, where you could kill two birds with one stone. You know, that area is very well protected of High Street. Police stations within the site. But we have plenty of parts in town that have big empty lots. You could build a custom courthouse on some of these empty lots. Customized, with plenty of room for the police, and probably have spare change for some technology for them too. We need to think about the long-term effects of what we're doing and where we're doing it and why. I understand it's uncomfortable for our police, and I don't want them to be uncomfortable, and I don't want them to be crammed in there. They deserve better than that too. They need a better working area. But if we rush, what's the long-term effect going to be to them? You know, say in 5 years we have to start laying off police again because we're making bond payments on a building and we can't afford the police. That doesn't help them very much, does it? So we have to think, I'm begging you, I'm imploring you, just to table it, at least, for now. So you've had more time to consider what others have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Louis Magazine on behalf of Anthony DeSantis. I think I heard you say that 23 has been withdrawn. Did I understand that?
No, it was amended.
It was amended.
It was amended.
Okay, may I understand what was the amendment then?
There was a certificate of the availability of funds that was removed because it doesn't authorize an expenditure of funds.
So that resolution is still pending?
Yeah.
All right, then I need to speak to it. I was surprised. I actually, when I came to the pre-meeting, was not even aware this was on for tonight. I had sent an email to your attorney, Mr. Russell, without even knowing this was on, indicating that we were prepared to sign the agreement as agreed by the parties in the letter from Mr. Russell and Mr. Riesenberger of about a month ago. What I also said in the email was that we wanted to move forward also through the redevelopment plan. Let me remind the Commission that the redevelopment plan route was suggested by Mr. Russell's predecessor. What I guess I'm going to have to disclose, and I really didn't want to, I'd hoped to be able to do this in closed session, is that we've had a meeting, and I would urge you to table this resolution. We've had a meeting last week with representatives of Morgan Stanley, or actually with an individual who's working with Morgan Stanley and the Bank of Montreal on a $550 million fund. The reason I have been asking to be able to go through the redevelopment process is because that individual has interest in not only 200G Street, but is drawn because of 1300 Wheaton and 1401 Wheaton and wants to make a total complex. We don't have that deal totally consummated because they were saying we need to see the agreement of sale before we'll move forward. So I was shocked, to be honest with you, that this was on there because I did not get any response to that indication by Mr. Russell when I communicated to him. I also thought that we had a good closed session 2 weeks ago. As a result of the closed session, we moved more aggressively over the last 2 weeks with this individual. Literally had meetings last week and even on Saturday. They are waiting for the contract to then move forward with us. So I would, if you're serious, as we are, and I know you are, about moving this project forward. And there's been delay, and we could go through the history as to why. There's emails that would show the history as to why, and there's probably good reasons on both sides. But it would be an absolute lost opportunity because we do not believe, we are not sure that this project would work solely on 1300 and 1401, but with 200 we have assurance that it would. And it is plastics recycling. As I said to Mr. Russell when I spoke with him at the pre-meeting, we are committed to the 100,000, but we're looking to do much more than 100,000, obviously, when we're talking about all three buildings. I think all three buildings add up to 1.2 million square feet. So I would ask for at least a 2-week adjournment of tabling of this resolution for allow us to get the contract signed and to provide to Mr. Russell proof of the individual. My only caution is that I don't necessarily know they want to be public yet because they're using a significant fund, a private placement, like pursuant to a private placement agreement. But if I had known this was on, and I guess I should have looked, I had looked just at the pre-meeting agenda and did not see it, I would have certainly asked to go and close to talk about this. But this will be an extraordinary missed opportunity after all the time that's been put in and all the pain and suffering by all of us collectively to not at least give us that adjournment. 2 weeks would be your next meeting. If we would be able to sign the contract as specified in the most recent alliteration in the memo that Mr. Russell and Mr. Riesenberger sent to me responding to my comments. And I would think by then we would be able to show you a document, or at least show your attorney a document, if it's not ready for the public domain, to give you some comfort as to what's moving forward.
Mr. Magazoo, if I may, just so I understand, the proposal the city made called for there to be a single use on the facility, and that would be one big plastic water bottle recycling facility. So that's what the contract says, but you seem to be saying something different.
Well,
that you want to have 100,000 square feet, which is about 13% of the lot, be a recycling facility, and then the other 87% would be some other use.
No, it would all be plastics. It would all be related to the I'm getting into an uncomfortable position because now I've got someone else who I'm also negotiating with who probably could get to read all about this, and I'm not done with those negotiations. But let me say this. It would entail partly the bottles that we've already talked about, but there are also complementary plastics use, and that's why they want this entire complex. I am comfortable signing the contract as you put forward, subject to, as I always
Mr.
said.
Magazoo, you have 1 minute, and I took out the little seconds that are
Thank you.
solicited.
Subject to going through the redevelopment process, which we would have to do on a redevelopment plan anyway. We'd have to go before your planning board and come back to the city commission. This is an extraordinary opportunity that we've been working on for years and frankly crystallized over the last 2 weeks since the last meeting. I made a commitment to you after we met 2 weeks ago that I would bring this together, and that's what's happened over the last 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Magazoo.
Anyone else? I close the session on public comments. Madam Clerk, old business?
There's no old business, Mayor.
Petitions and letters?
There are no petitions and letters.
Reports of commissioners. Commissioner Cooper?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And from the Parks Department, we had a nice fireworks display on Labor Day. We'd like to thank the pyrotechnical company for working with us to get them to reschedule. We'd also like to thank the fire and police departments for helping us have a safe and fun evening. On Saturday, September 7th, the Recreation Department co-sponsored the Paws for Art Dog Show at Wheaton Arts. This event was a lot of fun with over 150 dogs participating. A friendly mixed breed by the name of Remus took home the top dog award. Remus was supposed to be here tonight, but couldn't make it. On Saturday, September 14th, we held our annual baby show at Corson Park. We had about 65 children participate. We crowned Little Miss Millville, 2019 Cecilia Bacon, and Little Mr. Millville, 2019 Michael Jaquette. Congratulations to both children. In the last 2 weeks, we have cut 46 properties. I won't name all 46, but I'll tell you a few. Seniors, the Senior Center, Ferris Pond, Coventry Way, Governor Stokes Park, Babe Ruth, the Library, Community Garden Area, and Corson Park. In the upcoming weeks, we'll make another pass of grass cutting on all the city-owned properties, and we'll also be replenishing the mulch at Waltman Park, and we'll take time to trim around the park as well. Coming back, starting tonight, the Holly City Walking Club starts again tonight, the first meeting, every Tuesday and Thursday until May 28th, 6:30 to 7:30 at Lakeside Middle School. If the school is closed, there's no walking. The Scarecrow Contest. We're all ready for the Scarecrow Contest. It's time to sign up. Businesses, groups, individuals are all encouraged to decorate a scarecrow that will be displayed on High Street from October 1st to October 31st. There's a $10 entry fee. Last year's winner was the Millville Eagles Club, who made a giant eagle. Can you top that? For more information, call the Parks Department, Recreation Department, 856-825-7000, 7394. The next RVC meeting will be this Wednesday, September 18th at the Millville Senior Center, 1500 South 2nd Street. Please bring your new ideas. We'd really like to see as many people as possible to help with this committee. We have created some new and awesome events. Last year, we brought back the Ghost Tour, which we'll be holding again this year on Friday, October 25th, from 6 to 9 p.m. Come and join us and play a game of Clue on High Street. Also, help us figure out who killed Captain Buck. Our new event this year, on the city scavenger hunt. We had 19 businesses participate, and about a dozen people got them all. Scavenger hunt. It was a lot of fun. We'd like to congratulate Melissa Peak for being the winner. We're looking forward to this event again next year. So, won't you come out to the RVC meeting September 18th. Now, it's a little late in the season, but better late than never. The annual car show will be held Saturday, September 28th, from noon to 5 on High Street. Be there or be square. And with that, Mr. Mayor, moving forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper. Commissioner Pepitone.
Yes, I'd like to take this time to answer some of the questions that were posted by the public concerning the purchase of the old bank building on the corner. First of all, from the public's perspective, I could see how you would think that this is a purchase that we're going to make with little thought, because this is kind of your first hearing about it. This process probably began in December, January of this past year, when there was discussion based on the need of both the courts and the fire department of potentially what are we going to do about about the police, in the sense of building a new police department, which some of you, I don't forget, someone had mentioned about building a new structure. You're probably looking at $4 million around there to build something that would be new that we would put up. So the first thing that we looked at is trying to save money and seeing what's the best way to do it. We had found that the CCIA building, they were moving out of it, and it was going to be vacant, so we said this might be a good fit. What I did was I met with Mr. Velasquez, and we talked about it. And at that time, one of the first ideas we put together was a lease purchase. Presently, with bond rates so cheap, it made more sense for us to purchase the building outright, and in doing so, the renovations that we would have to make on the building, we could do with our money, and probably cheaper than if we had gone through the CCIA building. In that interim, we've had the state come down, look at the whole building, make sure it is, first of all, doable, and secondly, look at what renovations needed to be made in order to make it more accessible for the public. It's not an overnight decision. It's been going on for a while. I just wanted to relay that to you because, again, if I was in the public and I saw this out for the reading for this evening, I'd be like, what did they do? Just decide to make this decision? It has gone through a lot of process already, so I just wanted you to know that. We had our inspectors, our personal inspectors. We had the state come down. We had to have the judiciary. I'm not sure what the terms are. They had to come and actually look at the building to make sure it is doable. Along with that, we looked at some of the problems that we had here. One of the problems being that when we bring inmates into the court, they go right through the public up the escalator. That was a big issue and a potential problem. I had spoken with the police chief as well as Kim Hamlin, who is the head of the courts. And again, we had several meetings over looking at the building, what is it possible, et cetera, and found out some of the problems. I have a letter here from Jody that he wrote me a little while ago that I wanted to share. And these are just some of the issues that he had. Then I'll share some of the other issues that Kim Hamlin has. It says, as chief of police, my futuristic goal for the Millville Police Department, as I have stated to the commission and previous commissions, is for our department to have a new municipal police building. We currently have 2 employees, ACO, SILS, and Internal Affairs Detective Low-Tech occupying offices in City Hall due to lack of space. We have a juvenile officer currently occupying the first desk in the records division where when we hire a part-time records employee, there's no place for him or her to sit. As far as the municipal court, if they, in fact, moved out of the building, it would give us more office space and greatly help provide additional privacy for me. I have officer staff and public. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of how the setup is in the police department. Jody has a small office where when people come in, there's a constant traffic of officers and everyone else that goes through. And the walls are very thin, and confidentiality and privacy is a huge issue that he has to face. And he addressed that in here. If I speak normal tone, you're able to hear what is being said or discussed. Most of what is discussed is of confidential nature and creates a huge problem. However, if the courts were to leave, I could move up to the 4th floor and have confidentiality and privacy that is greatly needed. I hope the City Commission strongly considers moving the court from the police building because, as stated earlier, as Chief of Police, I should have an office that is in more of a secure location and would provide valuable additional office space. So, and there's other issues that we had meetings with Jody. With Kim's, Kim Hamlin, I don't know if you've ever been to the area where you pay tickets. It is an incredibly tiny area where people are basically bumping into each other. Court records that we should have at hand are stored on 15th Street, where if records are needed, they have to make a trip down to 15th Street to pick up the records. Again, I say all this to say a lot of thought went into moving ahead with this. The fact that bond rates are cheap, the part that we can do this for a little over $1 million, made the best sense we can to fulfill the needs of the city. And do it at a reasonable rate and take over a building that is, it's like a rock. I mean, as Kurt said, we paid $200,000 for the building, but I am speaking with Mr. Velasquez. Over $3 million of renovations have been made over the time period. There's furniture there that we're getting, the wiring that's all in place, all the different things that you might not think of are there, and that's why we had the courts come and say, hey, this is what we're looking at. So I just wanted to relay to you that this is not a knee-jerk decision. It's not, and as you said, if Doug Long wants to rent the 3rd floor, we'll rent it to him because we have an open 3rd floor that we have room for more space as well as for ourselves, or we could actually rent it out the way it's set up. We looked at the elevators, we looked at the entrances, et cetera. I know I'm going on and on, but I just wanted to share with you that that's the reason why the Commission has considered making this move. Purchasing other buildings, especially school buildings, I'm not sure what the rules and regulations are. I know it's not like an entity where we can just sell because it has to go through the state. There's a lot of process that goes on with that. I was supposed to get back to you, I think, and I didn't, but I will look to find out more about that. But I just wanted to, again, take the time to relay to you that this is a well-thought-out process. We've looked at different ways to kind of save money overall for the city, and an investment of $1.5 million or whatever that it's going to be is a lot less than creating a whole new building. And I am in receipt of the fire department report, and I'd like that to be received and filed. And someone had asked me to have the police department. Thank you. I'm making.
That's okay. I'm still
just
here.
running.
I'm
And
here.
the other thing is, I was asked to have the police report that we used to receive years ago. I just text Jody as a reminder to myself to say, let's have that report here again so that people could have it. And with that, thank you, Mayor.
I'm going to take a roll call
We
on
have
the
to take a roll
motion.
call on the fire report.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
I'm done. Commissioner Udalvis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Providing an update of the September 9th meeting of the Planning Board, Resolution Number 11-2019, amending a general development plan, and Resolution Number 12-2019, providing preliminary and final site plan approval in an I-3 General Industry District through an application by Infinity Energy Services for a project named Millville Motorsports Solar were memorialized by resolution. One application for revised division of locations in an Air Park Industry District was also approved. Other business included the appointment of Mr. J. Laubengeyer to alternate one member of the City of Millville Planning Board. Responding to a previous inquiry into the City of Millville's designated opportunity zone, the Department of Public Affairs, through its Planning and Economic Development sector, has prepared a concise explanation and image to present during the regular meeting. Providing an explanation for the purpose of the Opportunity Zone program, local opportunities include the following benefits: focusing investment priorities in distressed neighborhoods, reducing vacancies, redeveloping blighted properties, increasing employment opportunities for local residents, supporting new businesses, and expanding existing businesses through increasing capital investment opportunities. As seen through the image included with the explanation of the Opportunity Zone as provided by the state, the 301 Census Tract is the basis for determining the footprint of the zone. To provide an explanation of the area, the 301 Census Tract extends from High Street and 2nd Street intersection to High Street and Harrison Avenue, before widening to the area of 2nd Street to Buck Street from Harrison Avenue to Main Street, and 1 block between 2nd and High Streets and Main and Smith Streets. This eligible area provides 3 opportunities for tax incentives for investors within the 301 Census Tract, as characterized by the following: temporary deferral of capital gains that are reinvested into an opportunity fund, a step-up in basis for capital gains that are reinvested into an opportunity fund, and permanent exclusion from taxable income of capital gains from the sale of an investment in an opportunity fund after 10 years. Examining the components of the step-up in basis for capital gains reinvested, the Opportunity Zone provides an exclusion of up to 15% of the original capital gain from taxation, specifying that the basis increases by 10% if held in the Opportunity Fund for 5 years, with an additional increase of 5% if held in the Opportunity Fund for 7 years. Also presented through the incentives, investors may seek eligibility for permanent exclusion from taxable income of capital gains from the sale of an investment in an opportunity fund after 10 years. The role of the Opportunity Fund in the implementation of the Opportunity Zones is integral, and the aspects of a qualified Opportunity Fund are characterized by a privately managed corporation or partnership created specifically to invest in the Opportunity Zone. Additionally, qualified opportunity funds are required to hold a minimum of 90% of its assets within the Opportunity Zone property, including business stock, partnership interest, and tangible business property. Self-certification, defined as IRS Form 8996, is also a requirement of a qualified opportunity fund. As highlighted through the reading and approval of Resolution Item 9, authorizing a municipal partnership agreement with Cumberland County, City of Vineland, and City of Bridgeton, with Cumberland County Improvement Authority acting as lead strategic partner in the application process of the Opportunity Zone Challenge at the September 3rd meeting of the Commission, Millville and neighboring municipalities are participating in a competitive grant program aimed at supporting community efforts to attract investment and build community capacity around economic development in opportunity zones across the state. Updates regarding this grant program will be reported when available. And with the conclusion of this report, Mr. Mayor, I move to receive and file the document displayed and provided to the City Clerk before proceeding with the regular order of business.
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. And with the conclusion of the report, Mr. Mayor, progress.
Thank you.
So roll call. All right. Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perrin?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor Perrin.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to submit the tax collector's report for the month of August 2019. Move to be received and filed.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perrin?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion
Just a
carries.
quick reminder, the Revenue and Finance Department, we're starting to work on our budget. So please, as commissioners, try to get your request in so that we can look at it and see where we are. Appreciate it. Progress, Mayor.
Thank you. My report has to do with the 9/11 ceremony.
Oh, perfect.
It was a great ceremony. I think it was our largest crowd that we've seen since I've been here. Credit goes to Chief Lippincott, Chief Farabella, and also to Commissioner Cooper and Samantha Cruz for doing such an outstanding job. I think everybody that was there was happy. Unfortunately, it's an event that we don't want to remember, but at the same time, we don't want to forget for those who lost their lives. So a lot of credit goes to those who put it together, Commissioner. I know that you couldn't be there because you were working, but the fact of the matter is that it was outstanding and well received, and it's something that we all cherish in our heart, 9/11. With that, we'll go into ordinances on second reading, please.
Okay, we have an ordinance repealing Article 3, subsection 43-12 through subsection 43-16, municipal beach fees and regulations.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this ordinance on second and final reading.
Second the motion.
This is an ordinance on second reading concerning beach freeze and regulation. Anyone that has a comment or concern concerning this, please step up to the mic, state your name and your comments, and we'll move from there. Seeing no one, I close on ordinance on second reading number 1. Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 2 is an ordinance repealing Article 2, subsection 43-6 through subsection 43-11, Library Rules and Regulations.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this ordinance on second and final reading.
Second the motion.
Once again, this is an ordinance on repeal of Article Library Rules and Regulations. It's ordinance 2, reading 2. Anyone that has any concerns or comments on this, please step up to your mic, state your name and your concerns, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please. Seeing no one, I close ordinance number 2. Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinances on first reading, please.
Okay, our first ordinance is a bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition of real property and building from the Cumberland County Improvement Authority and making capital improvement to the building and to the police building, appropriating $1,600,000 to pay the cost thereof, and to authorize the issuance of $1,500,000 of bonds to finance the appropriation and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in the anticipation of the issuance of bonds.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this ordinance on first reading with final consideration given on
October 1st.
October 1st, after due publication is provided by law.
Second motion.
Any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. In regard to the bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition of real property from the CCIA and making capital improvement to the building of 2 North High Street in addition to the police department building and appropriating $1,600,000 and the issuance of $1,500,000 of bonds to finance the appropriation, I would be remiss if I were not to express my concern in moving forward with the bond ordinance, which would subsequently culminate in the purchase of the building and the investment of funds in renovations to meet its needs for the City of Millville as intended. While one appraisal was made available for the city's review by the CCIA, discussions into whether the city should have ordered an additional appraisal for comparison purposes was a significant factor in evaluating my decision to not endorse this motion to proceed. In order to avoid any misinterpretations, I will state very clearly that my decision does not reflect on disapproval of the CCIA, but rather this Commission's approach to deciding whether this decision is even fiscally feasible or responsible. In place of acquiring a building that will require significant renovation to accommodate a plan for the municipal court, at the same time that the Commission must make urgent decisions regarding the future of emergency medical services and unavoidable costs associated with salaries, wages, and pensions, we as a Commission should be exploring a capital investment plan that could someday include a planning and financing phase for facilities that would certainly accommodate our police departments and courts' growing need. Even the appraised value of real estate property must account for the current market, and the decision to prioritize other expenditures over a new building would speak to our fiscal accountability when admitting that a plan is not feasible at a given time. Once again, the importance of this statement is to emphasize not my opposition to CCIA and the valuable services that they have rendered and continue to render to the city, but to the Commission's approach to considering this expenditure in this current climate and under these circumstances. With that, I conclude my statement, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Udalvis. Anyone else? Anyone else? Roll call.
I have a question. I'm just wondering, have we really looked at the other aspects in the other buildings? Have we taken a harder look? Do we need to take a harder look before we go ahead and make this decision? Commissioner?
I've done a great deal of research, and we've all had discussions about this, and I don't know what else to tell you. I've done as much due diligence as I possibly can to have this questioned. I don't know. I feel that this is a wise decision, and again, we've discussed this. In fact, you and I have discussed this, and we're questioning it now, and I don't understand that. But I think this is the best decision for the city based on, again, we could talk about, is the immediacy needed? There was an issue that happened in the courts outside the courts where one individual was talking with another one individual talked to another individual's girlfriend, and the guy clocked them, and he fell out. And I'm thinking to myself, imagine if something like this breaks out among a crowded situation like that. I mean, I'm the one who's going to hear about it, so it's very important for me to see this move ahead. A lot of times things in government, when we stop it from moving, it stops and lays there, and we've all seen that. So I'm 100% behind this. Again, I feel I've done the due diligence within my department, talking to individuals, talking to the state, talking to the courts. I don't know a better decision for the city. A new structure would cost us millions of dollars, much more than what we have to afford. And in addition, to make a comment to what Ashley had said, I'm not looking to have one over the other. We've also discussed bringing in EMT and looking for ways to make that happen, as well as taking control of this building for the city.
If I may just make one quick comment. This is only on first reading. There'll be a public hearing at the next meeting in reference to this, so that people can still have a say. Okay? This is only on first reading. It's not final unless it goes approved under second reading. Okay?
Anyone else?
I just want to just reiterate, knowing that everything that we have to deal with that's coming down the pike for us, I'm just saying, are we really taking a look at everything and all the everything that's available to us? That's my main concern, knowing that we have EMS to deal with, and that's going to be a major expense for us, among other expenses that we've talked about. So I just wanted to make sure that we have, and you have assured me, and that's what I wanted, that assurance to know that we've really taken a look at everything. Do we? And I guess my other question is, do we really need that kind of square footage that this building is offering us? And if we could do something smaller, and pay less.
I'm not a realtor. I don't know what property's out there. And as for the school buildings, we'd start the whole process over in the sense of bring the state in to look for it, see the logistics. In the meantime, the court records are still at 15th Street. It's not a conducive situation for the health of the city the way things exist now.
I don't think the question is, do we need to do something with the court system? The answer is yes. They have to be moved somewhere. Where is up to the commission, where they want to put it, okay? But it has to be moved out.
So all your points are well taken. I'm sure all these people are sitting at the edge of their seats. We're in a dilemma. We're in a situation, as the commissioners have stated, moving our court system, allowing the police department to grow, or deal with our EMS situation, which we have to deal with also. So it's unfortunate that we're dealing with it now, but we definitely need to make decisions on one or the other. And as been stated before, this is just the first reading. We'll visit this again on October 1st, I believe.
If it gets approved. Yeah.
If we disapprove.
Right.
Right. Anyone else? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
No.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, item 2 is an ordinance amending the City of Millville Municipal Code, Chapter 61, Article 4, collection and disposal of solid waste, and Article 5, source separation of recyclable materials.
Mr. Mayor, move for the passage of the proposed ordinance on first reading with final consideration to be given on October 1st, 2018, after due publication provided for by law 2019.
Second
Due
motion.
publication provided for by law.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We're now going to resolutions, please.
Okay. Item 1 is a resolution to award a state contract to purchase a 2019 Ford 350 four-wheel drive truck with utility body and additional options for park and public properties from Winter Ford for $40,876.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I have a certification of funds from my Chief Financial Officer, Marcella Shepard, in the amount of $40,876. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 2 is a resolution to award a state contract to purchase a 2019 Ford 350 four-wheel drive truck with additional options for the Streets and Roads Department from Winter Ford for $33,601.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I have a certification availability of funds from Marcella Shepard, Chief Financial Officer, in the amount of $33,601. Move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Eudalovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 3 is a resolution declaring memorandum of understanding with Anthony DeSantis, designating him redeveloper of Block 260, Lot 1, null and void, and authorizing the sum of $125,000 be paid to Anthony DeSantis upon the exchange and execution of a mutual release by both parties.
Mr. Mayor, before proceeding, if I may ask Mr. Russell just some questions for clarification for the public at this time. Mr. Russell, in evaluating Mr. DeSantis' legal counsel's explanation, does the verbal explanation demonstrate any progress or clarification having been made in specifying and upholding the single use with the issue of the redevelopment plan as previously proposed?
Well, we directed a correspondence, I think, on August 14th, and we basically indicated what we would be willing to amend and what we would not be willing to amend. And one of the things we did not want to amend was the language in the MOU that that this would be a single water, plastic water bottle recycling facility that would provide 300 jobs. That's what was in the MOU. That's what was discussed in the previous proposals. And by the way, that MOU is expired. But we basically gave them a deadline to accept that agreement with those changes. And I'm still unclear as to exactly what's being said today. It sounds like they want to do a scaled-down water recycling bottle facility and then some other associated use. Now, we've received a redevelopment plan, but unfortunately that doesn't really give us any guidance on what they want to do on the property. So, and in that letter of August 14th, we did give them a 2-week deadline to accept our conditions, and that deadline has long since expired.
Then to explain concisely, the issue has always been the item of upholding the single use without integrating additional permitted, conditional, and ancillary uses to that plan.
Well, other unknown uses that we don't know what they are.
I think
That's the problem. Now, it's been represented that they're complementary or similar to plastics, but I don't know what that means.
Mr. Mayor, our city solicitor and our environment counsel have performed due diligence in advising Mr. DeSantis and counsel via correspondence to notify and obtain response. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution without any certification of availability of funds, as they are not needed to place this on notice.
Question, Mr. Mayor?
Can we do that right now? Change it, although there was certification of funds beginning, now we're changing as to none?
That
has been
was a
stricken.
change to the agenda.
Okay,
We're-
very
It
good.
already was changed.
Right.
Just want to make
right.
sure we're on the
Thank you.
same page.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Mayor, this doesn't mean the project is not going to continue, that we're just putting them on notice, that
Well-
we need the plan under the redevelopment to exactly what they want to have
Well,
done.
the issue is, are we bound by some legal agreement at this point? And I think we're in kind of a never land as far as that goes. And I think what this would state is that old deal, which I think is being changed.
Right.
In any fair analysis of this, is now done. That's over. Now, if he wants to talk to us about something else, I mean, like any other redeveloper, potential redeveloper, the city certainly could hear him out, could enter into a new MOU, enter into possibly a contract. That could happen. But I think what it does is trying to clarify the mess that was created when the bankruptcy case was settled, and that's the problem, and that's why you have this $125,000 figure, because what happened is that the city had a tax lien because the prior owner, Glass Group International, didn't pay its taxes. It was about a $500,000 tax lien. The city foreclosed the tax lien. It obtained title. The problem is Glass Group International then went into federal court, into bankruptcy court. They undid what we won in state court, and the bankruptcy judge gave them the title back. And then there was a settlement after the fact of the bankruptcy case, and Mr. DeSantis' group gave Glass Group International $125,000, and the city wound up with title. So that's that's where it stands. We have a written memorandum of understanding which goes back more than a year ago. It was, I think, a 120-day agreement. That time period expired a long time ago, and I think this plan has been evolving. And we got a redevelopment plan that unfortunately doesn't say anything. It just basically has a number of uses that he can do on the property, which quite frankly isn't very helpful in terms of a redevelopment plan. The whole purpose of the redevelopment law is it gives a municipality the power to determine what redevelopment, what kind of development project occurs on a particular property, rather than just giving someone carte blanche and then they can decide what they're going to do later on.
Okay, thanks for your clarification, sir.
Yes.
I have, if I may, Mr. Mayor. Far be it from me to stand into any investment coming the city's way. I understand from what I'm hearing, Mr. Magazoo, there may be something new that you're actually adding to this agreement, or there could be some...
Mr. Magazoo, you'll be able to answer later. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'd like to hear what they are, specific, if we have specifics. And Counselor, if we're able to adjourn for 2 weeks, how would that affect us or affect the old agreement?
I mean, I think you can adjourn for 2 weeks if you want to do that.
But at the same time, didn't you say that they can come back to the table with a new plan and we can address that?
Yeah, I mean, even if you adopt this resolution, all you're saying is what we did before, that's done.
Right.
So, but if you have something new that you think would be interesting to us, we'll be happy to take a look at it. You certainly could do that.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner?
Yes.
No, I think Commissioner Udalvis give us that direction under economic development, where we are,
And our city solicitor has made it very clear that, in fact, with the pre-existing MOU that has long since expired, that there would need to be either an amendment made to that, or at this point, that we would be declaring that null and void, and then exploring options for a new one.
Correct. Anyone else?
Okay.
Roll call.
I do not. Do we have a second on
Second
that
the
motion?
Thank you.
Now we do. Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing adjustments in the tax and utility records.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing professional service contract with Rue Associates Incorporated, 420 Heron Drive, Logan Township, to prepare and complete minor modifications to the current Title V air permit application to include equipment specifications and emissions for the compost turner at the municipal landfill in the amount of $10,600.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I have a certification availability of funds from Marcellus Shepard, Chief Financial Officer, in the amount of $10,600, and move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 6 is a resolution authorizing an additional item of revenue in the calendar year 2019 budget, which is now available as revenue from the New Jersey Division of Criminal Justice Body Armor Grant in the amount of $7,506.90.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this motion.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 7 is a resolution amending Resolution Number 6-2019, designating meeting dates of the Board of Commissioners for calendar year 2019 for the purpose of rescheduling November 19th 5:30 p.m. work session and 7 p.m. public session meetings to Monday, November 18th, 2019, due to schedule conflict with the annual New Jersey League of Municipalities Conference.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 8 is a resolution amending Resolution Number 243-2019, adopted on September 3rd, 2019, approving a lease agreement between the City of Millville and Millville Development Corporation for the purpose of amending the lease term, insurance requirement amount, and language under performance and maintenance bonds.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 9 is a resolution authorizing release and indemnification agreement between the City of Millville and Sean Scott, police officer, for the purpose of transferring ownership of Police K-9 Neron to Officer Scott.
Mr.
And
Mayor.
if I can comment a little bit on this.
Go ahead.
This was a animal that was donated by someone to the police department to be used as a canine dog, and unfortunately, the dog was not able to be trained to be a canine dog. And then the problem was, what do you do with it? Do you destroy it? Do you turn it into a kennel, or do you find somebody that would be willing to adopt it? And it sounds like it's a little issue, but I had to talk to the council of Jeff to make sure that all our I's were dotted and T's were crossed, and find out what other municipalities do. I know I read in the paper that one of the canine officers in Vineland is retiring, and he's taking his retired canine dog with him. So it is an appropriate thing to do, but that's the reason why we're doing it.
We'll credit to Officer Scott, too, for wanting to take this animal and save this animal's life. So a lot of credit goes to the officer. Anyone else? Roll call.
Do we motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this motion.
Oh, we didn't do that. Second it?
Second the motion.
Thank you.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pipitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
New business, please.
There's a motion to authorize social affair permits on behalf of the Rowan College of South Jersey to hold social affair events at the Arts and Innovation Center, 321 High Street, on the following dates and times: October 9th, 2019, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., October 18th, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., November 1st, 2019, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., November 15th, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., December 6th, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pipitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We've now reached public comment portion of our meeting. Anyone would like to address this commission, please go to the podium, state your name and address your concerns, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Louis Magazoo, Anthony DeSantis, Council. I have to tell you, there was a little misrepresentation by Mr. Russell, and I think the record has to be correct. Misrepresentation is a stronger word. Mischaracterization. Mr. Russell is correct that I received a memo from him and Mr. Riesenberger with 2 weeks' notice. I responded, I think the day after, or the day that notice was to expire, that I was going to give him a response. One of my clients was out of the country. The day after, I did respond. 2 weeks later, I received a response by Mr. Riesenberger and Mr. Russell that basically said, we'll accept this, we won't accept that. Tonight, I said we'd sign that agreement as was provided by Mr. Riesenberger and Mr. Russell. We now have an opportunity fund, $550 million, that wants to spend money on part of our property, but requires 200 G Street. And it's not tomorrow I have to call them and say, no, Millville canceled our MOU and canceled our ability to negotiate on that parcel. The entire deal may go up in smoke, the entire project, because of this commission's failure to give us 2 weeks, which is what I requested. Let's also recall that it was your prior solicitor, Mr. Schroeder, who asked us to back off for a few months because they wanted the Improvement Authority or the Millville Development Council Commission to be involved. We did that. I'm not sure if the commission recalls that. And finally, Mr. Russell talked about the $125,000 Mr. DeSantis put up. He didn't put it up out of the generosity of his heart. He put it up because the city asked for it. That case would not have been settled without Mr. DeSantis' money. I'm not sure if the commission gets all that. And my negotiations at the bankruptcy court. I'm not sure if the commission got that. There was a change in solicitors for 1 year. We dealt with Mr. Russell for part, and then we dealt with Mr. Schroeder. But I've sat at a desk table like that, and I've sat at a table like that. And I understand the equities that you have to balance. But when a representative comes and tells you that there's an opportunity fund that is looking at our parcels but has an interest in this other parcel, and I frankly don't know whether the whole deal may explode tomorrow as a consequence. But let me be very clear so that the record is clear. We are prepared to sign the agreement that was sent to us 2 weeks ago or a month ago with the comments from Mr. Russell and Mr. Riesenberger. In that agreement, it calls for us to go before redevelopment, and we're prepared to do that. That's a condition of the agreement. So we're prepared to do exactly what you asked us to do, and you precluded us from doing that tonight, because now we have to start all over again. So I want the commission to understand, if tomorrow this deal is ruled dead or moved to Vineland or whatever, it's because of the actions of this commission. And I think that's really unfortunate. Now, I'm going to do my best to not let it die, because I believe in it. But I want to be very clear so the public knows we're prepared to sign the contract that the city provided to us. And maybe I wasn't clear earlier, but we're prepared to do. We have been prepared to do that. That's what my email said that I sent to Mr. Russell, and that's why I'm disappointed with the resolution, because it adds just one more area of difficulty for me to deal with tomorrow morning. I don't know how much more of my 5 minutes are left, but I'm going to use every minute of it.
You have 2.
Thank you. Do for good behavior. Sure. We heard your dilemma about the courthouse and the need. Mr. DeSantis and Mr. Peratt are prepared to buy it from the Improvement Authority for that number and lease it, and enter into negotiations with the city to lease it back, so as to avoid the continuing debt on behalf of the city. If you have any interest in doing that, and I will yield, as Congress says, I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Magazoo.
Tosui, Millville. I got to admit, I mean, in reference to the Wheaton property here, I'm a little confounded why you guys wouldn't just postpone that for 2 more weeks. Been sitting there for years. Wouldn't hurt you to do that. I perhaps have some more insight on the negotiations part of it from my previous time on the commission, which I won't get into. But, Mr. Mayor, you were there for some of that negotiations. But anyway, I want to get to the bank building across the street. You know, I want to thank you, Joe, for doing your due diligence on that building. I mean, you said you've been working on that since October. So I'm going to guess that as part of that due diligence, you looked at other buildings for sale in and around it, and you have an idea. You know, perhaps you have an idea that the old Knowles drugstore is for sale for $149,000, that Oliver's Twist is for sale for $339,000, that the bank across the street sold for $75,000. I'm sure you have some idea of what plans must go into this to make that building fit for the courthouse. So I'm pretty sure an open request will be filled out to ask for all that stuff this week. And what surprises me is that information wasn't provided to the rest of the commission. Now, I realize you have parameters within the law you have to work with, but you should provide it to them during the agenda session, which is a public meeting, in which they could all look at it months in advance, and everybody would know that. So, you know, I look forward to the answers on those. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suey.
Christina Pantelis-Royer.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Say your name again.
Christina Pantelis-Royer, Millville resident.
Thank you.
During the last commissioner meeting, Commissioner Parent touched on his opinion of priorities. It was the first time I actually heard a commissioner speak up about priorities. I don't believe the commission is on the same page about priorities. My opinion, top priority should be crime, retaining the current businesses that we have and bringing in new business. We can get our revenue back to the way it used to be. Making the city financially stable. Our bond rating isn't the greatest. A AA- isn't the greatest rating. It's not bad, but it's not good either. And 4, let's focus about schools. It seems like the only thing the commissioning is focused on is about spending our money. That is, we're talking about buying new buildings. The old Wheaton building. It's all about spending money. There's nothing here about retaining, bringing in business and putting our money back into the city. It's hard for me. Last time I talked, I struggle to pay my taxes. I pay them out of my pocket directly to the city. Every time that bill comes in, I struggle, especially when it came up last month. I struggle to pay that bill. And I know I'm not the only one here, but I'm the only one that's speaking up and putting my personal business out there so someone else can hear. I don't know, but it might come down to the city foreclosing on my house. Because if I can't keep on paying it, you guys can come out after me. I'm not going to get slapped on the hand like every other business in this place. Oh, it's okay. You can have it back. It's not going to happen to me. So that's where I'm at, and I'm sorry I feel that way, but that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Christina.
Five minutes, huh?
You have to give us your name, Mr. DeSantis.
Anthony DeSantis. How are you, Mayor?
Good.
Commissioners. Brock, Janine. Gotta tell you, I'm new to this area, and I've come to actually like Millville and care for it perhaps a lot more than the people that are actually here. And that comes in a way because I've learned that in Millville, in order to be heard, you actually need to spend money. That's how people know you for real. Otherwise, it's all chatter. You understand? We've bought 2 buildings. In contract, we saved the cities, even though Mr. Brock tells the story differently. But we've actually negotiated that contract, and the city asked us to put it through them. So we've acted accordingly. Now, I'm too old to fight. You know, I have 3 little girls, and, you know, I was excited about bringing jobs and new opportunity to this area. But, you know, it's a little emotional for me because it's, you know, I take it to heart. You know, Mayor Santiago, you gave me a challenge, and I've never broken my promise to you. And last week, you challenged me again. And today I came in with a fund, and you guys knocked it down. I think the problem that this city has is not the people of Millville. I think it's the understanding of the businesses that are coming in. Even Mr. Brock, to even question it, if he has a problem or he doesn't understand it, call me. None of you have ever come to the site and ever once asked me, explain to me, please, what you envision here. Mr. Pepitone's a great guy, right? He told me he doesn't understand it. I would like to explain it to him. You know, he mentioned that there's ancillary businesses. I know I got another minute left.
No, you're good.
Okay. But you're telling me you don't understand it. Why would you knock down a company coming to town? Did you ever think that the reason why politics scares away the businesses that are coming here? Did you ever take that into consideration? Instead of being warming and friendly, you're scaring people away. And I'm one of them. Because I'm up to my wit's end with this. I have 2 buildings. If you don't want me here, tell me. I'll put them up for sale. You guys come buy them. God bless you. Good luck. I'm not here to fight. I bought 5 houses in the area. I've started renovating them. I have 2 of them. Nice for my engineers that were supposed to come here. I have a vested interest in this town. You had city blocks that were decimated with crime, poverty, drugs. And I said, I will go in and I'll rebuild it for the town. And nobody stepped up. I've had meetings with the lady who was responsible. She was at one of the meetings. And I told her I will put up my money. All right? When you stand here and you put up your money, then make a comment. Okay? Because you want proof of concept? I'm giving you proof of concept. Okay? I have $2 million in carrying costs on an empty building waiting for this project. You know where that $2 million could have gone? It could have gone into jobs for these people. You want to know why people are unemployed? Look around. You know, I'm here. I'm trying to help. I brought you a fund. I brought you a private placement memorandum. And she rejects it, takes it to heart. Do half of you even know what a private placement memorandum is? Ask me. You don't understand? I'll educate you. I don't know it all. I've learned. But I've learned to do business straightforward with people, not behind the back. And you guys made me a deal when Jim Schrader was here. Brock comes into play, that deal's out the window. We have a new attorney handling this. All right? When these people don't have a job and their taxes are going up, because we're a rateable over there, and we're a nice rateable when that company gets going. All right? You guys ask yourselves why this deal isn't going down. You already scared away one of my investors. Let's see if you could do another one. Because you're doing a great job at it right now.
Thank you, Mr. DeSantis.
Thank you, and I'm sorry.
You're welcome. You're good.
For being so passionate.
I think he just answered questions that I've had for quite a while. Why does everything that Millville is going to get goes away? Great things are coming, but we can't discuss it. We're not privy to talk about it because you drive them away. Everything that we have been promised. I understand why we don't have no ratables. You're willing to consider a racetrack for tax exempt for 15 years and raise our taxes, but refuse to hear a person who wants to invest in our city out. I just don't understand how, well, now I do. He explained it. Okay. But my question to you guys was not why you need a new court and a new police department. I had the misfortune of being in that police department. It's pigsty. I agree. They need a lot. So I'm not disagreeing with any of the above. I'm asking you why that building is worth $1 million. And I understand why you can't pay your real estate tax. If you think, oh, let's just hurry up and buy it because it's there. Do you rush out at your home and buy everything just because it's right now? Don't you get estimates and get different? Like if you were buying a new lawnmower, ride-on lawnmower, wouldn't you check around? When it's our money, it's easy just to say, okay, we're going to do this. You can find, St. John Boscov's could be a great courthouse. There's plenty of parking. You don't have to have a courthouse downtown, do you? You'd be doing them a favor. You'd be saving money, and you have plenty of parking. But you want to rush out. You did your due diligence. You'd buy that whole half block for $1 million. And I improved my house, but somebody buying it is not going to come in and pay me the value plus my improvements. If it worked that way, I'd be gone tomorrow. But I can't get my improvements back. That's done. I can only get what real estate in Millville is selling for. Thanks to the county, the people running the county, and the people running the city. If you don't change your way, you ain't going to have nobody left. You'll be sitting here all yourself paying these taxes, which would serve you right.
Thank you, Mrs. Monteleone.
Good evening, Angeline Broomhall, Millville. I have several things. Mr. Perrin, Mr. Santiago, hopefully you can help me with this. The alleyway behind my house, which is technically called Briarwood Drive. I live on Sharp Street, so it runs parallel to Sharp Street. It's in between Sharp and Ferguson Court. There's been an argument as to whether it's city property or housing authority. It is the housing authority. I know that. I've been in the house 15 years. However, all the phone calls, all the emails are not getting any result. In the 15 years I've been there, maybe 3 times there's been a plow. I'm not even worried about that so much at this point now, because I literally have a lake behind my garage. It's my only way to access in and out of my house. And the neighbors that have been there, which were all renters, have literally been paying to through the years to spread gravel. But they've either passed or moved on. So there's really no one there that cares enough to do it. So if somebody could, you guys have the contacts, because the emails, even when you look online, there's no meetings posted as to when their meetings are for the Housing Authority. So if you could help me with that, I would greatly appreciate it, because the gentleman who I had doing my yard fell. That's how deep the hole is. It's a good 10 inches, and it's only progressively getting worse. Okay, I don't have that much time. So I also have a question. Hopefully Commissioner Udalvis can answer this. Do you know, or does anyone know, how to apply for the sports and entertainment funds from the tax from that? The sports and entertainment facility tax. Or do you even know what it is? Not you, Brock, because I know you know what it is. Excuse me. Sorry. Mr. Pepitone, Mr. Cooper asked you a question that you did not answer. He asked you if you looked into any other buildings. You danced around that question. You said, I had the state in, I've been working on this since October, but you never answered his question. So, Mr. Cooper, I'm kind of upset that you let him slide on that. But again, you didn't answer the question. You said you've been working on this since October. I know the original plan with the CCIA was to lease it. So you weren't looking into purchasing properties. You were looking to lease a property, and it was made available to you by the CCIA since they're leaving it. Well, there's a lot of empty properties here. Where are the other properties that you've looked at? Oliver Twist is available. Like I said, the schools. You want to keep the money back into the district, into Millville? Transfer the money from the general fund to bond it and pay the schools and all the Millville profits back and forth on both ends of that coin. But you're not looking into it, and I know you're not looking into it. And I don't appreciate that it's getting manipulated and twisted, and all of a sudden it's a rush. The CCIA was here at the last meeting, and you wouldn't let them publicly present. What is it that was so secretive that you had to talk about it behind that door? Nothing. Nothing. The other question, when is this presentation for the track? You just made this man can't get a 2-week stay. The track put this exemption in, and it was on the 16th agenda, which means you guys were talking about this since June, or maybe even before, extending their exemption. And here we are going into October soon. It'll be October before maybe the track will grace us with their presence when they come and beg me for 15 years of free taxes. We deserve, you owe it to us, Mr. Parent. You made a comment at that last meeting. We owe it to them. You don't owe them anything. Let's make that clear. You, me, no one in this room owes that track a dang thing. Now, if you pull their contract, they owe us 1,500 jobs by contract. You pull that contract, they owe us that sports and entertainment facilities tax. You pull that contract, they owe us $350,000 a year for the last 11 years. So when you talk about who owes who, they owe me. I don't owe them any more time. So I respectfully request that we give them till October 3rd. Either you show up or shut up. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelina.
Good evening. Kirk Hewitt, Millville. I'll start off with quick things. Last meeting I asked about LKQ. They moved out. They took jobs with them. I don't know how many jobs they're going to give us. Guess what? I asked how long for the announcement. I'll make the announcement. LKQ is open and running in Vineland. Mr. DeSantis, thank you for your thoughts. The racetrack. I'm going to echo what Angel said. Where are they? We were here. We're ready. We're ready every night. We're ready with our phones to fill this room again. We don't need the people here now. They're mad. People watch right now in this conversation tonight. I get a text from a real estate agent. watching on TV. The old Zelphi building. It is block 356, lot 4. That's up for sale. Was just sold for $450,000. The bank building. We asked you about an assessment. Did you get an assessment? Did anybody even look at an assessment? I'll let you answer when I'm done. The assessed value as of right now, our tax office, for that building, $616,800. That is the tax assessed value that we're going to dump millions into when it's done. I will never stand here in front of any commission, prior or you or the next commission, and ever say anything bad about the police department, the fire department. Yeah, I've said a lot bad about EMS, but hopefully you guys are going to fix that, and there'll be nothing bad to say about them anymore like it used to be when it was Millville Rescue Squad. The police department is operating. Yeah, it's got a tough time. I've been in there. I've been in the chief's office. I know exactly what you're saying. But you know, the EMS is very much more important right now. Let's do the EMS. We got to do it. All you guys know it. Chief Lippincott knows it. The citizens know it. Let's get this rescue squad done. Now the racetrack. You know, the last meeting, every one of you sat there and you said, we're upset. We're undecided. We owe it to the racetrack to be able to present to us. We have been ready. We are more than ready. You all acted at the last meeting that you didn't know the racetrack was not coming. Is that correct? Yes, you did. All of you. Not you, Mr. Cooper. You were absent. But I think you're aware of what I'm going to say. Yeah, Oprahs, we do a lot of them. It's our right. It's a law in order to get transparency. On August 13th, there was an email sent from Brad Scott. Yeah, you know him. Thank you for the meeting last night. I don't know what meeting that was. Spent most of the day trying to arrange representation and appearance at the August 20th commission meeting. But unfortunately, our legal team is not available to attend due to travel and vacation. We will fully be prepared with an economic study expert and our attorney for September 3rd. Got another email. I'll leave out the name. New Jersey Motorsports Park would like to request a postponement of our presentation for September 3rd, 2019. This one is dated August 23rd, 3 days after they walked out of here with their tails between their legs because they had their presentation ready. We filled the room with people against it. This will allow us the required time to properly prepare documents for our economic impact study and pilot presentation to the City of Millville City Commissioners, Mayor, and Millville residents. These documents include the requested documents from the last Commissioners meeting, along with providing expert testimony from our support team, executive team, and NJMP ownership regarding the purpose for the pilot extension request from NJMP. We would also like to include the potential new emergency services that could be added as part of our expanded payment for services to Millville. Let me know a good time to discuss these dates for presentation. The Motorsports Park put the final nail in the coffin of Millville Rescue Squad. Now they want to dangle in front of you commissioners? Yes. When they claimed bankruptcy, that destroyed, along with little contractors and everybody else, that was the last nail. That's when Millville Rescue Squad had to look and started looking for bailout. And we wound up with Inspira. We don't want Inspira. No, not one of you 5 want Inspira. You all have, almost all of you have lived it now. I've lived it. Many people in the city have lived it. We got to fix it. Let's get that done. Tell this track, go away. Do you want to be the city? Nowhere, through Oprahs and everything else, can we find one example of a 15-year tax abatement in the state of New Jersey, and this is Oprahs to the state, that has ever been extended past 15 years.
Kurt, you got 1 minute.
Thank Thank you. You want to be the city? It might be a little bit better than the city people think is out there now. But nowhere is there any evidence of anybody ever getting this. Where is the entertainment tax? You know what we get from the Treasury? The tax people up in Trenton? We don't have to tell you. That's the way the law is written. That's what Lynn Parecka got when she sat with you, Mr. Mayor. You know, your commission was looking into it. I hope this commission has looked into it, because we are looking into it. I think there's a lot of people that are looking into a lot of things with this commission. It's a shame. The EMS is first. The racetrack is second. Tell them to go away. They can go play anywhere they want, but they're not going to leave. They can't roll up the racetrack and move it to Vineland. It can't happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Good evening. My name is Barry Campbell. I'm fairly new to this area. I bought my business here because I believe Millville has opportunities. I'm just surprised by what I'm hearing tonight. It's shocking. I mean, I have to ask myself, and maybe you should ask yourself too, what's the mandate of the commission? I mean, is part of it to create obstacles to progress? I mean, if that's the case, I want my business out of here. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm trying to bring jobs as well. My company's here, and we're employing people. I'm looking around for qualified people. And most of the time, I have to go out of Millville. I'm hearing that this person is bringing in a company that's bringing in 300 plus jobs, and you're telling them these are obstacles you have to overcome. Where's common sense? I don't get it. I'm hearing that people are struggling with taxes. I'm hearing that there's ratables. I'm hearing about redevelopment plans being rejected. I mean, how do you create economic vitality in an area that's depressed, that's got growing blight? I mean, when there are jobs, people move into the areas that jobs are created, that they can work. They bring other things with them. There's a downstream effect of jobs, okay? Houses get bought. They get renovated. Blights start disappearing. How is it possible that other cities fight for every job? They fight to create jobs. That's not what I'm hearing tonight. It's clearly not what I'm hearing tonight. So I got to ask you a question. Maybe this is a question that should have been asked a long time ago. And that is, what is the mandate of this commission in regards to the well-being of the citizens that they're supposed to represent? What's your mandate? Is it to help those citizens in a way that empower and improve their lives? Because that's not what I'm hearing tonight. Is your mandate to help them with things like their taxes, their jobs, their schools, things that help them create a better life? That's not what I'm hearing tonight. What is your mandate? Maybe in all the fluff and ruffle, maybe that is disappearing or maybe being overlooked. I don't know. But I know where I'm from in the north part of New Jersey, where cities vie really hard for their economic vitality, okay? They have, and they use many, many different forms of tactics. But one of the things that I know that they use is, for example, a business planner. Somebody who, I mean, politicians don't generally have business-related acumen, okay? And so what they do is they have a business planner that looks at ways that they can create economic vitality. I don't see it here. I don't know if it's something that you may have considered, but I would urge you strongly to start taking a better, more in-depth look at how this is being handled, because to me it's going in the wrong direction. I don't see how this is an improvement, not from what I hear tonight. I'm also going to take a hard look too, because if this is going in the wrong direction, I don't want to be here. I don't want my business here, and you're going to lose the employees that I've hired here. Please, I don't want to go, but if something isn't done, I don't have a choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell, I believe, right?
I think so.
Is that what he said?
Good evening, everyone. Cindy Cook.
I did say Barry, Scott, I'm sorry. I did say my name is Barry Campbell.
Thank you.
Okay.
Whoops. Good evening, everyone. Cindy Cook.
Hi, Cindy.
Valine. I put a couple pairs of socks up there for y'all to check out. I wanted to let you know I was the recipient of, so far, 1,500 pairs of those socks for our homeless for all of Cumberland County. I will be getting another shipment in when Bombay sends them. Bombay is a wonderful company, and every pair of socks they sell, and I wanted you to see them to see what high-quality socks these are for our homeless. Now, one of the questions I do have is I know our police officers go around and help our homeless a lot in the wintertime, and what I wanted to know is, do you think that maybe I should take some of those socks over to our police department so when the police can have them in their vehicles, so they, during the winter especially, if they come across a homeless person in need, they can give them some fresh socks. But I partner with an organization in Blackwood called the Unforgotten Haven. We were supposed to receive a shipment of 30,000 socks from Bombay's for all over South Jersey. As is, we only got half the shipment in already, so we are expecting another 15,000, and I did have 2,500 pairs earmarked for our homeless. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Anyone else?
Joe Sutherland. Joe Sutherland here, the coordinator of the Millville Municipal Alliance Committee, and all of our programs in the school are starting up, and we're working on the students that we'll be sending up to the New Jersey State Election Peer Leadership Conference. I think that's the whole thing. And Mr. Cooper, do you know off the top of your head when Pumpkin Extravaganza is going to be?
The date? No, not offhand.
Okay. If you can get back with me, but that's so as I can start, I can start getting people together to help out with it, and get the supplies we need for it. And outside of that, everything's going good with the alliance, and we appreciate your support.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else? I close the public meeting. At the end of this meeting, Commissioner's comments. Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Wow, what another passionate meeting. Just want to make a few comments. One to Mr. Campbell and Christina. From the beginning, we have talked about crime, all the commissioners. We have focused on crime. The two issues that we really focus on is crime and new business. So, Mr. Campbell, although it may seem tonight, I don't know if he's still here, that...
Yeah, he is. He's here.
Okay. Although it may seem like tonight things weren't getting done in terms of bringing new ratables in, that chapter's not closed, though. So, believe me, we still are seeking new business. We may have lost one or two here or there, but hopefully in this very near future, that's going to get better. And even with you, Mr. DeSantis, I appreciate your passion, and Lou, Although it's not my department, and I am a commissioner, I would like to hear what else is on the table, if that's possible, moving forward. I know there's other things that you have spoken about that are a part of some new things going on with, but I'd like to hear about them. But if not, then we can't. Cindy, I'm thankful for, are these our socks or we have to give them back to you? Yes, I will. I actually have a pair of two of Bombas socks. They're really good. I emailed them. Actually, it's funny that this was on my desk. I said, wow, they answered my email. I emailed them about 6 months ago about doing something similar for the homeless here. But I guess they answered yours and not mine. So that's great. And on to something positive. We are right now researching a dog park, putting a dog park here in the city. We talked about it, again, from the beginning when we first started off as commissioners. We've already had a committee meeting. We have some strong interest. And if you'd like to be a part of that, just give the Parks Department a call. We'll be glad to bring you on. We even had our solicitor there at the meeting, the last meeting. We appreciate you coming there. Yeah, so that's pretty positive. And Cindy, thank you for the socks. I'll make sure they get through to someone who could really use them. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, moving forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Pepitone.
Thank you, Mayor. Brock, I'm going to need some help with this one because I'm going to try to address some of the issues that Mr. DeSantis brought up. First of all, I don't think there's an individual on this commission that is not looking for development of business in this city. The agreement that we had prior to ending this one, from what I understand, was an agreement of a specific nature that was very small in scope of what Mr. DeSantis could have done in this business venture. It's been, I don't know, probably almost a couple of years that really no progress has been made. Am I accurate in that?
Yeah, I think it does go back to 2016, 2017.
Since I came on here, the property's kind of been still. We have had interest by other.
Oh, he's got to finish.
Let me finish. And again, all due respect to you, the property basically sat there fallow with it just sitting there. We have had interest in other individuals looking at that property due to the fact that we were involved in this agreement. The city wasn't able to move ahead in any other direction until we kind of figured out what we were going to do with this present situation. As I understand it, there's nothing that's stopping you guys from coming to make a presentation. Again, you're angry. I don't understand. If I'm not understanding, you can come and make another presentation that I'm sure all of us, in fact, Bruce himself said he's interested. All of us would be interested. But under terms where you're going to make a presentation, we're going to see what it is, we're going to evaluate it, put time frames around it, so if this situation doesn't come into play, the city's not handcuffed or shackled into saying we can't do anything else with that land.
Mr. DeSantis, you can't answer. Okay? I know, I understand.
So right. Again, limited understanding.
After the meeting, talk to him.
I apologize, but from the decision that we made this evening, from what I understand, we ended the old deal. Any new deal that you want to bring to the table is open based on the parameters that are set. And again, my concern is time frame. If we're going to do something, what are we going to do? How long is it going to take to do it? What is the outcome going to be? That's what I'm looking for. And again, I appreciate you making the investment in the city. I welcome you to make other investments. And again, maybe I'm not speaking as clearly as I can, but this in no way was telling you we don't want you here. Okay? Concerning the CCIA building, Mr. Suey, you mentioned 3 buildings. One was a bank, and the other bank that I believe that you're talking about, I've been through with our Inspector Robin. It's compared to the CCIA building, it's night and day. There's no, that building's falling apart compared to the CCIA building. I'm sorry? Okay. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. I don't think, again, seeing what the state has come down and looked at with the CCIA building, Oliver's Twist, would in no way qualify to put a court system in there, nor would Knowles. Again, I'm not familiar with that building, but I don't think it's conducive to do what it is. Again, did I come on the commission and say I'm going to find a building to put the courts in? No, a situation arose. When I say I did my due diligence, I did what I understood. I talked to the people that I had to. Did I go on a real estate hunt for other property? No. I think your idea of purchasing schools, I don't think it's as easy as you can. And I don't know if the money necessarily would go to the city of Millville. I believe it goes back to the state. Somebody made a point, you did, Angel, about keeping the money in our area. CCIA is our area. So by investing the money into them, they're going to hopefully utilize that same money to go back into Cumberland County. So these are points, again, the decision isn't made in a knee-jerk response, and I hope that I'm getting that through. As for the EMS, we had a meeting this evening. It was very positive. That is a priority for this commission. So you guys know that. I'm not looking into doing one over the other. We believe that we can probably do both. We understand that we want it brought in Millville. We as well want it brought back into Millville. We feel that that's going to be the best situation all around. So again, I wanted to point out to you as a public, it's not one over the other. It's we're looking to do both, and we think we can do it within reason, with reasonable cost. With that, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing. October 31st, trunk or treat, 2019, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. First Methodist Church parking lot at 3rd and Pine. The Millville Police Department, Fire Department, Millville Office of Emergency Management, and Spear Rescue Squad, Millville Police Explorers are all going to have candy out there for the kids to come during Halloween. If you get an opportunity, please make sure that you stop by and check out the emergency vehicles that will be there for the kids to check out. With that, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Dallas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I wish to extend my thanks to the Department of Parks and Public Property and Samantha Cruz for their dedication in planning and hosting the September 11th event at Millville's Riverfront Park this year. The event was an unforgettable experience to attend, and I thank Chief Lippincott of the Millville Fire Department for delivering a poignant address as this year's keynote speaker. Attendees appreciated the department's recognition of first responders, and I was grateful to attend and witness this event as a Millville resident. Mr. Hewitt, as established, the pilot ordinance as proposed has been voted down on 2 separate items, one for 15 years and one for 10 years. There are no pending items through resolution or ordinance tabled or otherwise, and it is the responsibility of the businesses in question to approach the commission and schedule the presentations or action items if necessary. That would be their responsibility. In response to Ms. Broomhall's question into how to apply to sports and entertainment tax, I have spoken to our city clerk and our city administrator, and through our CFO, the question was highlighted that the Department of Community Affairs and the state of New Jersey would be the recipient of the taxes collected through the sports and entertainment tax. I would at this point direct the question for any additional information to our city administrator and city solicitor at this time. If there were not to be additional information that could be garnered, I could prepare that for our next meeting or research into that myself so that we could find that out. At this time, Mr. Russell, do you have any additional information regarding the collection of the sports and entertainment tax?
I looked at that at the time of the last commission, and it was my understanding that if that tax was collected, it would not go to the city, but it would go to the state.
To the state.
Okay.
And I think it's up to them to collect it as well.
That's correct.
And also, in regard to redevelopment, without divulging items that would place the city in a situation to compromise contract negotiations, I will restate that our city solicitor and our environmental legal counsel have dedicated significant time to this item. Therefore, the item of the memorandum of understanding in meeting the uses that are outlined is the primary priority of this commission in ensuring that any document that we should endorse and any uses that should be additional would be items in which they've been reviewed properly. Our environmental legal counsel and our city solicitor would sign off on them. And the item of the contract negotiations at that point will rest with the information that we have in public meeting. And with the conclusion of this statement, Mr. Mayor, progress.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Again, we're back with Motorsports Park. excuse my voice, I'm going to try to get this out, okay? I think I made it perfectly clear I would not support any further extension with Motorsports Park. I don't know of anywhere in the state of New Jersey that's going beyond 15, and I've done all kind of research, okay? What concerns me also is that, and I made reference to it, I believe at the last meeting, that we have Target sitting out there with a 15-year tax abatement, okay? And I think when you start doing extensions, they're going to be lined up out front. I guarantee it, whether it's a 5-year or a 10-year or whatever it is. And, you know, that's a big concern to me, and knowing that it would be a loss to the taxpayers. They've had 15 years to do something, and I'm going to hold them to it. You know, I think that, and I'll still say this, you know, they have not said to any of them, for me, I don't know if anyone else, why they need that extension, why they need it. You know, I mean, I'm not stupid. I think, you know, they want to use our money to expand whatever they're doing out there, you know, and but I'm not in favor. I think I made that clear. I hope I made that clear, whether the last meeting or the meeting before that. I'm still open to listen to them, though. You know, I think we owe them that to say, you know, what do you deal with? Maybe there's something else we can help them with once they sit down with us. I don't know that until they have a meeting with us. So once again, I just want to thank everyone for coming. Yeah, Mr. DeSantis, you know, I think that, you know, everything's not over until it's over. Okay? That's the way I look at it. And, you know, we're not trying to chase business out of here, away from the city. The competition is very difficult out there right now, you know, with other municipalities offering every kind of thing, big loans, tax abatements, you name it. It's getting a war out there, and we have it right here in Cumberland, trying to match, especially Vineland, who has millions and millions of dollars in second-generation money. You know, they have us to thank for that, because a lot of that money came from the Cumberland County Mall, where we all went up there and shopped. And they got 3.5% every time that cashier rings the bell for them. And that's what we've been dealing with. So again, you know, thank you. I hope we have a better understanding on some of the things. I'm sure you're not going to agree with everything that we do, but we're going to continue listening, and we're going to continue trying to make the right decisions. Rescue squad is very important. You know, I mean, that's a top priority, even though there's other things out there. We have to make sure that the people of the city of Millville have the safety. If when you need an ambulance, we've got one there for you. That's public safety. And whatever we have to do, we're going to have to do it, folks. And as Commissioner Pepitone reiterated, we're in negotiations right now trying to make something happen. And we'll continue to do that. That is a priority. Okay, folks? So again, thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for putting up with my voice. Okay? Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm probably pigging back on everybody because everybody gets to speak before me. The main issue is courts, EMS, and police. All public safety issues. Trust us. We're trying to do the best we can with what we have. It's important. Courts, it's too small for what they have now. Police department was too small when they built it initially. I went into that building brand new. It was small when we moved into it. So that is a big issue. I want to go back and try to answer questions. The racetrack, folks, we can't force them to come to a meeting, Mr. Hewitt. They're going to have to make their own decision to come to a meeting. And when they come, it'll be advertised on the agenda, and I'm sure all of you will be here. LKQ, they've been in Vineland for a few years now. I believe over on Main Road and Wheat Avenue, somewhere like that. So they've been there for a while. As to Mr. DeSantis and Mr. Suey saying 2 weeks, I'll be honest with you, and Mr. DeSantis knows this, that we've been bending backwards. We've given a lot of time. Our solicitor has done an outstanding job giving us information as to what we needed and what we should do. Don't believe me, the cards have not fallen all on the city of Millville. I want you to leave with that idea. Some things that we requested we did not get. Mr. DeSantis. So it's not all our fault. Trust us. Did we extend this? Did we extend this?
Did we extend the contract?
There is no contract at this point.
What did we give them time for? Hold on, Mr. DeSantis.
What we did was we made a proposal on August 14th. We gave them 2 weeks to accept. And I still don't hear that they were willing to agree to what that contract said. I hear variations. I hear, well, it's 100,000 feet for the primary use and then the rest for other things.
So what we need is concrete answers from Mr. DeSantis and his attorney, who I respect a lot. Local guy. I'm glad that Mr. Magazoo's here. So I'm happy that you're representing Mr. Mag. And come back to the table. We're always here to listen. In reference to your Briarwood, we'll take care of that tomorrow. I'll make sure there's somebody knows about that. Cindy, you're talking about the socks. Contact the Chief of Police, Jody Farabella. He's the day-to-day operator of that police department. He will tell you whether or not he can put those in a police car and disseminate them to the public. I'm not going to go back into the bank that we want to purchase or we're going to purchase or we're not going to purchase. Again, think about the courts and the police department. We won't be able to afford a brand-new police department like the city of Vineland did. I think they dumped $7 or $8 million into a building. We can't afford that. I wish we could, but there was a lot of money there. I appreciate all the commissioners here. I know that all of you answered honestly and gave the right answers when you had to give the right answers. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Thank you for coming, folks. Be safe going home.